It's no secret the goal is to get as many Americans vaccinated as possible and reach that much desired herd immunity. A new Axios Ipsos poll finds that 63% of Americans say that they've already received the COVID-19 vaccine or will do so. So here's a slightly different message. The same poll shows 62% of Americans say they have or are very likely being the key word, get the vaccine here. Now, the discouraging news is the amount of people getting the vaccine is slowing down right now. Joining me on the morning show, epidemiologist Dr. Jonathan Kantor with the Penn Center for Epidemiology. So the challenge is getting people who are on the fence or who are dead set against getting the vaccine to get the jab. And I think government has done all it can. Does the approach now have to be that things have to change? Do these people's doctors and pharmacists, people they trust, need to get involved?
Well, I think absolutely. I think shifting this to really kind of a community-based approach, I think is going to be very, very helpful. As you said, the government has certainly been clear in its desire to have as many people vaccinated as possible. So I think the shift to the idea that we can get as many community supports as possible that are kind of behind the same idea is fantastic. I think that's going to be very, very helpful because I think otherwise we're in a situation where we're going to stagnate and we're going to really see a dramatic slowdown in the number of vaccinations. And again, as I've said before, this is like a marathon. We are now in the last mile or two of that marathon. We have a vaccine out there. We have multiple vaccines out there that are effective. And so the real thing to do now is to get as many people as possible vaccinated in whatever way we can, as long as they feel that it is ethically appropriate for them to do so.
Let me pick up on that. U.S. officials say we're getting closer to the proverbial finish line for coronavirus. We're within striking distance. What does that mean?
Well, I think the thing to keep in mind, in terms of the big picture, is that if you think about it as as a bicycle race instead of as a marathon, we've had the past 60% to get, most of the way there. It's been downhill because you're getting people who are lining up for a vaccine, who are very eager to get a vaccine. The problem is that last 30 or 40%, you suddenly got to start really pedaling to go uphill, and you've got to work for every inch because you got people who are going to be less enthusiastic about getting it. In terms of striking distance, I think what we need to do is just think about, look, for example, at other countries where there has been success. So Israel, for example, has largely opened up its economy, has largely relaxed most of the restrictions, but they've done that by getting a significant proportion of the population vaccinated. And I think that is really a model that we can look to in terms of an effective way to kind of get your economy going, to really gear things into high gear, and to get people back to doing the things that they love without necessarily needing to worry about all the masks, all the social distancing in the future once we get to that herd immunity point.
So is that finish line mythical? Is it more a gradual return to normal?
Well, I think that is a very good point. I think there's been a lot of concern, at all times about waving mission accomplished banners when this isn't really a mission accomplished situation, right? This is, as you say, a gradual return to normal. So it's one of these things where when we look back in the history books in 20 or 30 years, it's going to seem like it was very sudden. But I think for those of us experiencing it right now, it's going to feel very gradual. So even right now, the idea that we've got 60% of people who are willing to be vaccinated, for example, and we've got vaccines available, I think that sort of has crept up on us. So I think it's going to be the same phenomenon where we're going to gradually relax restrictions as the vaccine spreads. So it's particularly important to have as many people as possible vaccinated, and that's what's going to really allow that return to normalcy so that we can stop with all this craziness and get back to life as usual in the United States.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is there's no precise endpoint. So what are some important benchmarks?
So one benchmark, I think the most obvious benchmark to look at is the proportion of the population vaccinated. Again, that's what they've been doing in other countries. And I think it is highly effective. It does give you this idea of herd immunity. Keep in mind, herd immunity, though, is a general concept. So if you've got areas where 100% of your community is not vaccinated, well, you're not going to be protected necessarily, if in your niche area, you don't have a lot of people vaccinated. I think vaccination numbers is the number one thing, and then the R naught is going to be the other to see what is the rate of spread. We want that rate of spread below 1, as far below 1 as possible, to suggest that instead of increasing numbers of people who are infected, we're going to see decreasing numbers.
Dr. Jonathan Kantor, appreciate you. 7:46, time for a look-see at the weather.